Okay, so we're almost done with the book, so we decided just to finish it tonight. We have 3 more chapters to go. Right now we are on chapter 20 with Serving God. I have brought you thus far through the 2 preceding chapters with the view to finally settling the question of duty. This is one that puzzles and perplexes very many people who are earnest and sincere, and gives them a great deal of difficulty in its solution. When they start out to make something of themselves and to practice the science of being great, they find themselves necessarily compelled to rearrange many of their relationships. There are friends who perhaps must be alienated. There are relatives who misunderstand and who feel that they are in some way being slighted. The really great man is often considered selfish by a large circle of people who are connected with him and who feel that he might bestow upon them more benefits than he does. The question at the outset is it my duty to make the most of myself regardless of everything else, or shall I wait until I can do so without any friction or without causing loss to anyone? This is the question of duty to self versus duty to others. One's duty to the world has been thoroughly discussed in the preceding pages, and I give some consideration now to the idea of duty to God. An immense number of people have a great deal of uncertainty, not to say anxiety, as to what they ought to do for God. The amount of work and service that is done for Him in these United States in the way of church work and so on is enormous. An immense amount of human energy is expended on what is called serving God. I propose to consider briefly what serving God is and how man may serve God best. And I think I shall be able to make plain that the conventional idea as to what constitutes service to God is all wrong. I personally believe that the best service you can render God is to make the most of ourselves and to grow to the greatest possible degree that we can grow like He created us to do, because He created us to create just like He creates. The best service to God is for us to create the most beautiful world, and that happens through like, personal enlightenment, moving from this stage of brutality, from the animal stage to the Christ-like stage of internal enlightenment and finding our own personal world within, and how this world within is what manifests and creates the external world without. Like, imagine a world where everybody had access to this knowledge and everybody knew all of this stuff and everybody was using their creative faculties in a constructive way and everybody was creating together. That is a world that has the kingdom of heaven established on it. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within you. You have a world within you, because it is heaven that creates earth. It is heaven that creates on earth. And the heaven within you, your world within, is the expression, the fountain, the mainstream. And the external world is the expression of that stream. The best service you can render God is to grow and make the most of yourself and help others to do the same. When Moses went down into Egypt and bring out the Hebrews from bondage, his demand upon Pharaoh in the name of the deity was, quote, "Let the people go that they may serve me," end quote. He led them out into the wilderness and there instituted a new form of worship, which has led many people to suppose that worship constitutes the service of God. Although later God Himself distinctly declared that He cared nothing for ceremonies, burnt offerings, or obligation, and the teachings of Jesus, if rightly understood, would do away with organized temple worship altogether. God does not lack anything that men may do for Him with their hands or bodies or voices. St. Paul points out that man can do nothing for God does not need anything. The view of evolution which we have taken shows God seeking expression through man, through all the successive ages in which His Spirit has urged man up to the height. God has gone on seeking expression. Every generation of men is more godlike than the preceding generation. Every generation of men demands more in the way of fine homes, pleasant surroundings, congenial work, rest, travel, and opportunity for study than the preceding generation. I have heard some short-sighted economists argue that the working people of today ought surely to be fully contented because their condition is so much better than that of the working men 200 years ago who slept in a windowless hut on the floor covered with rushes in company with his pigs. If that man had all that he was able to use for the living of all the life he knew how to live, he was perfectly content. And if he had lack, he was not content. The man of today has a comfortable home, and very many things, indeed, that were unknown a short period back in the past. And if he has all that he can use for the living of all the life he can imagine, he will be content. But he is not content. God has lifted the race so far that any common man can picture a better and more desirable life than he is able to live under existing conditions. And so long as this is true, so long as a man can think and clearly picture to himself a more desirable life, he will be discontented with the life he has to live, and rightly so. There's also one thing that I would like to add to that, and it is natural. It's perfectly natural to desire and to grow. Remember, growth is a natural law, and when you desire to advance and move forward, God will desire to do that with you. You know, like we've been saying, He will make things possible for you to advance and to move forward. And rightly so. It is only right for us to urge and want more, to desire more for ourselves, because us desiring more is God Himself desiring more and to express Himself more through us. You know, the more condiments we have for things, you know, like the more instruments we are able to play, the more things we are able to go out and do, the more people we are able to meet. It is God that enjoys seeking these things. It is God in you that wants to do those things. It is God in you that wants to advance. And you know what? You yourself naturally want to advance. Remember that one substance, and that substance is your substance. You are this substance. You are God, embodied in a physical form. I am that I am. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Exodus 3:14, 3:15. I'm sorry. I am that I am is the name of God, and this is His name forever, unto all generations. And you know what? You have the ability to say, I am. You know, you are conscious and you are able to think. You simply are. You think, therefore you are. You know, I am that. We have the ability to say, I am. You know, we may not know what we are. We may not know who we are. We may not know where we are. But we do know that we are. And to desire, you need to be thankful for the things you have, because remember, gratitude puts you in direct harmony with this source. But it is okay to not be satisfied. Remember, unsatisfaction is a creative state. You know, it's perfectly right to be unsatisfied with things and to want more. Desire is the most creative state of any human being. You know, and when you desire to do something, that desire, oh man, the fire behind that desire, the thing it makes people do in order for them to get to the places that they desire to go, or to do the things that they desire to do. You know, remember the natural, this principle of power, this consciousness within us is forever seeking to express more. So it is okay to desire things. It is not wrong to desire things. It is okay to not be satisfied with things and to make it better. You know, that is how things get better. This camera that I'm working with, you know, unless a person desired to make an even better camera, there wouldn't be any better camera. But this camera's, you know, they weren't satisfied with it. So they desire to make a better one. And honestly, I have no idea how old this camera is. Let us continue. That discontent is the Spirit of God urging men onto more desirable conditions. It is God who seeks expression in the race. Quote, He worketh in us to will and to do. End quote. The only service you can render God is to give expression to what He is trying to give to the world through you. To grow, to be of service, to create. There is only one you. You have your own. Bring it to the world. The only service you can render God is to make the very most of yourself in order that God may live in you to the utmost of your possibilities. In the former work in this series, The Science of Getting Rich, I refer to a little boy at the piano, the music in whose soul could not find the expression through his untrained hands. This is a good illustration of the way the Spirit of God is over, about, around, and in all of us, seeking to do great things with us, so soon as we will train our hands and feet, our minds, brains, and bodies to do His service. Consciousness is God, and you are a consciousness being. You are consciousness. You are spirit. You are living in this body. It is your temple. Because it is possible for you to not understand how this temple works. That only shows that you are separate from the body, yet forever connected to it. Your first duty to God, to yourself, and to the world is to make yourself as great a personality in every way as you possibly can, and that it, seems to me, disposes of the question of duty. There are one or two other things which might be disposed of in closing this chapter. I have written of opportunity in the preceding chapter. I have said, in a general way, that it is within the power of every man to become great, just as in, quote, The Science of Getting Rich, end quote. I declare that it is within the power of every man to become rich. But these sweeping generalizations need qualifying. There are men who have such materialistic minds that they are absolutely incapable of comprehending the philosophy set forth in these books. There is a great mass of men and women who have lived and worked until they are practically incapable of thought along these lines, and they cannot receive the message. Now remember, to receive the message, they must have a corresponding outline in their own brain. They have to think along those lines. Something may be done for them by demonstration, that is, by living the life before them. But that is the only way they can be aroused. And what is that? How does that arouse people? Living the life before them, and then they see you, they're inspired by you. That is how you can arouse the creativity. That is how you can arouse a desire within somebody. That is how you can arouse someone's desire to continuously grow, by seeing somebody themselves growing, and by seeing somebody doing all the necessary steps to make sure that they continue to grow, by seeing somebody who's sitting here every single day thinking about these books, thinking about all he wants to do is to share this out to the world. Let us continue. The world needs demonstration more than it needs teaching. For this mass of people, our duty is to become as great in personality as possible, in order that they may see and desire to do likewise. It is our duty to make ourselves great for their sakes, so that we may help prepare the world that the next generation shall have better conditions for thought. Remember, it is not our right to impinge or impede on someone else's practices, okay? Stick to your own practices. Build the greatest habits you possibly can, because people will see you and they'll want to be like, wow, how did this guy become the way he did? What did this guy do to get to where he is? How did he get to the point of thinking the way that he thinks? I want to be like that. I want to be great like that. I have the ability to be great like that. I have the power to do that. And you know what? I also have the ability to start something, and to start a train of causation, and to build a group of leaders, and a bunch of people out there building other leaders, starting that train of causation so we could help so we could help establish the kingdom on heaven on earth, the internal world within, the creative process of us, our spiritual process of us. Remember, everything is created by the Spirit, and you are Spirit. You are the fire living in this earth. You are the fire inside of the earth. You are the thing living in the body. You are life, giving life to this form. So that we may help prepare the world that the next generation shall have better conditions for thought. That is the best legacy anybody can leave behind. To inspire the generation and leave something behind for them. And then they could take that in that wheel, and then build upon that wheel, and to continuously advance from there. One other point: I am frequently written to by people who wish to make something of themselves and to move out into the world, but who are hampered by home ties, having others more or less dependent upon them, whom they fear would suffer if left alone. In general, I advise such people to move out fearlessly and to make the most of themselves. If there is a loss at home, it will be only temporary and apparent, for in a little while, if you follow the leading of Spirit, you will be able to take better care of your dependents than you have ever done before. Now that is the end of chapter 20 on serving God. Now we have 2 more chapters left. And I will see you in the next chapter.